Well, I've been trying to tell you guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get. When certain stuff just don't weigh up, it's a mandatory 1-year sentence when you just get $5 worth of stuff.
Fetty Wap finally walked out of federal custody on January 8, 2026, free after serving just 3 years of a 6-year sentence tied to a major drug case. Right after his release, the internet blew up with wild rumors claiming he might have cooperated with authorities to get out early. But now, fresh footage has surfaced showing his rivals confronting him, and everyone's asking, was this some kind of revenge move? Let's break down how everything went down. The government name behind the fame is Willie Jr. Maxwell II, and according to official records, he walked out on January 8, 2026. He was originally expected to stay in until 2029, but because of good behavior and federal time credits, his sentence got shortened. Instead of full lockup, he's now under community confinement, basically house arrest.
What seems like damn near just a couple of years ago, because it was, holy smokes, we seen 4 letters pop up. This one, home. That's from his official page. Then he goes on to write this. I want to thank my family, friends, and fans for the love, prayers, and continued support. It truly means everything to me. Right now,
the homie posted home on his IG story, then dropped a statement.
My focus is on giving back through my community initiatives and foundation, supporting at-risk young children by expanding access to education, early tech skills, and vision care for young kids and students so they can show up as their best selves. I'm committed to moving forward with purpose and making a meaningful impact where it matters most.
Fetty's not exactly free though. His release terms are strict. He's on supervised release until November 2030, meaning the feds will be watching every single move he makes for the next 5 years. Random check-ins, surprise tests, and tight restrictions, it's serious business. He can't open new bank accounts without permission, can't travel out of state without approval, and can't touch anything that's not prescribed. If he slips up once, he's heading right back inside. This setup might look lighter than prison, but in reality, it's still a type of confinement just outside the walls. When Fetty Wap finally made it home, he let the world know. He hopped on Instagram stories to show his return and even dropped a quick statement. Not long after, videos flooded social media showing him back in his hometown surrounded by family, day ones, and longtime supporters who came out to celebrate big. The most viral clip showed a huge crowd cheering him on, clapping and chanting 1738 like it was 2015 all over again. The energy was wild, but it wasn't about drama this time. No tension, no arguments, just pure love and excitement for someone who had been gone for a while and finally made it back home. But before we get too deep into the celebration, it's important to understand how Fetty Wap ended up behind bars in the first place. His legal troubles didn't start overnight. They were years in the making, shaped by choices, circumstances, and serious consequences that caught up to him over time. Back in October 2021, Fetty Wap was taken into custody at Citi Field in New York. The timing couldn't have been more shocking.
He was arrested yesterday at Citi Field. It was during a music festival in the afternoon before he performed. He's one of 6 indicted for conspiracy to distribute more than 100 kilograms of controlled substances on Long Island and in New Jersey. And those arrested also include a New Jersey correction officer. Officials say Fetty Wap and others involved transported, distributed deadly and addictive drugs, including heroin and fentanyl on Long Island, deliberately contributing to the opioid epidemic.
He was supposed to perform at Rolling Loud NYC, one of the biggest hip-hop festivals in the world. Fans were packed and waiting for his set when federal agents made their move, arresting him alongside 5 other people in connection with a large-scale case that became public shortly after. That high-profile arrest made headlines everywhere, and that was exactly the point. Federal agents wanted to make a statement showing that no amount of fame could protect anyone from facing major legal consequences. According to prosecutors, Fetty Wap was accused of being connected to a bi-coastal operation that allegedly moved illegal substances from California to New Jersey and Long Island. Investigators claim the group operated between June 2019 and June 2020, moving serious quantities of drugs across state lines, including cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. It was a huge case that connected the worlds of music, fame, and the street hustle, and it reshaped how people viewed Fetty's career. Now, with him back home in 2026 and under close watch, fans are split. Some calling it a fresh start, others whispering about what really went down behind the scenes. But one thing's for sure, Fetty Wap's comeback story is just getting started. The federal case against Fetty Wap wasn't built overnight. It was a long, detailed investigation that stretched out for months. This wasn't some random traffic stop or a surprise raid gone wrong. The feds had been watching carefully, collecting every piece of evidence they could before making their move. When the dust settled, investigators recovered around $1.5 million in cash, along with illegal substances, pills, and firearms. They even found ammunition connected to the operation. This wasn't small-time street activity. This was a full-on organized network running across multiple states, handling serious business on a national level. At first, Fetty Wap managed to post bail and was temporarily released while waiting for trial. But that short taste of freedom didn't last long. By August 2022, his bail got revoked after reports claimed he broke the rules of his release. Allegedly, during a FaceTime call, he flashed a weapon and made threats towards someone he believed had cooperated with the feds, a huge violation of his conditions. In court, that incident was taken very seriously. Federal judges don't play around when it comes to anything that looks like witness intimidation. Once someone on bail shows any sign of being a potential danger or not respecting the legal process, the system moves fast to take that freedom back. After that, Fetty Wap made a tough call. He decided to plead guilty in August 2022 to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess controlled substances, including at least 500 grams of cocaine. That charge came with a mandatory minimum of 5 years, so it was no small deal. But the plea wasn't random. It was a strategic move by his legal team.
Now, we was in the shop talking about the Fetty Wap case out of New Jersey. If 5 man's on that case outside of him a conspiracy, he already had a domestic violence and a DV. Now, it was 220 grams of H and 10 pounds of fent and also the C. And this man got a sentence of 6 years. That's highly unlikely for a man to get that much less time for that amount of illegal substance in the federal system unless he's working. That's impossible.
By that time, the landscape had changed dramatically because of one word: fentanyl. The rise of fentanyl reshaped how judges and prosecutors handle drug cases. Because the drug has been tied to thousands of fatal overdoses across the country, the courts now take it more seriously than ever. Even a small amount of it can cause severe harm. So anyone caught in a case involving fentanyl faces an uphill battle in federal court. Fetty's lawyers knew what that meant. The odds weren't in his favor if he went to trial. When the evidence includes wiretaps, financial records, physical proof, and cooperating witnesses, federal prosecutors win almost every case that reaches trial. Pleading guilty gave Fetty a chance to accept responsibility, possibly earn a small reduction for cooperating with the process, and avoid getting hit with a sentence that could have been twice as long if he lost in court. His decision wasn't about claiming innocence. It was about being smart in a system where the deck was stacked against him. It was a calculated move to minimize damage and secure a chance at freedom sooner rather than later. Then came May 24th, 2023, the day of sentencing in Central Islip, New York. The judge handed down 6 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release afterward. Since Fetty had already been locked up since August 2022, that time counted toward his total sentence. Prosecutors even tried to use his own music against him in court, pointing to lyrics from his hit song Trap Queen to argue that his connection to the drug world went deeper than just a few bad choices. The judge listened to both sides, taking into account Fetty's expression of remorse and his family responsibilities, but still decided on the 6-year term. Fetty served his time at FCY Sandstone, a federal correctional facility in Minnesota. From the moment he got locked up in August 2022 until his release in January 2026, he completed about 3 years and 5 months behind bars.
So the real question ain't about jail, it's about what's next. Do y'all think Fetty can come home and shake it up again? Or is this one of them times where the streets still respect you, but the game had already moved on? Is this a comeback waiting to happen, or is it closure for a run that already ended?
Thanks to good behavior and federal time credits, he managed to shave down his sentence, proving that even in the toughest situations, strategy and discipline can make a real difference. Fetty Wap's release wasn't some mystery favor. It came down to good conduct, program credits, and the First Step Act. His original out date was expected to be sometime in 2029, but with consistent good behavior and participation in rehabilitation programs, that timeline kept shrinking. First, it moved up to December 2026, and with even more credits stacked on top, his release got pushed all the way up to January 2026. By earning enough time reductions, Fetty became eligible for community confinement, which is basically house arrest before full freedom. That transfer happened about 11 months earlier than originally scheduled. The Bureau of Prisons didn't publish every detail of how his credits were calculated, but the process follows a clear formula. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 3624, federal inmates can earn up to 54 days per year for good conduct. On top of that, inmates can earn extra credits for completing education programs, job training, or other approved courses that show they're working to better themselves. These credits add up, and over time, they can cut years off a sentence, which is exactly what happened here. Back in 2022, Fetty's lawyer made it very clear. He's not cooperating with the feds. The attorney stressed that the guilty plea was a standalone decision. No testimony, no secret deals, and no paperwork filed for substantial assistance. In plain terms, Fetty took his charge and handled it without turning on anyone else. Now, Fetty Wap is serving the remainder of his sentence under house arrest in New Jersey, monitored by the Philadelphia Residential Reentry Management Office under the Bureau of Prisons. His official full release date is currently listed as November 8th, 2026. Until then, he's still under tight federal supervision with strict conditions like random testing, financial reporting, and travel limits. Every move he makes still has to be cleared. There's no room for slip-ups. But even with all that structure, one thing started spreading like wildfire online: the rumors. The second his early release hit the internet, people jumped straight into speculation mode. Social media flooded with questions. Did Fetty cooperate with the feds? Did he trade info for freedom? Was there paperwork? These types of questions pop up every time a rapper gets out early. In the hip-hop world, being called a snitch can completely destroy your name, your credibility, and even your safety. That label carries serious weight. It can end relationships, ruin reputations, and make the streets dangerous for anyone tagged with it.
Stop playing, the deals get ugly, and time starts stacking. And Fetty Wap knew what time it was. Before the jury ever heard shit, he pled guilty. That ain't a flex, that's straight up calculation. That's knowing the evidence ugly and trying to limit the damage. The feds don't bluff when it comes to that F-ball either.
The rumors about Fetty Wap started all the way back in August 2022, right after his guilty plea. Some people instantly assumed that pleading guilty meant he must have cut a deal. To them, it seems simple. Why plead out unless you're giving up information? But that's not how the federal system works. In reality, there are plenty of reasons someone might plead guilty, and most have nothing to do with cooperation. When the evidence is stacked high, things like wiretaps, surveillance footage, bank records, and multiple witnesses, fighting the case can feel impossible. Sometimes the smartest move is to accept responsibility, take the sentence, and avoid the risk of something much worse. That's exactly what Fetty did. His attorney repeated it more than once. He's not cooperating with the feds. The plea was standalone, plain and simple. Fetty admitted to distributing 500 grams of cocaine, took accountability for his own actions, and that was that. No testimony, no deals, no discounts, and the numbers back it up. His 6-year sentence tells the story. People who actually cooperate with prosecutors usually get huge sentence reductions. Sometimes they walk away with time served or just a couple years instead of a mandatory minimum. That didn't happen here. Fetty didn't get a special treatment cut. He served more than half his term before stepping into community confinement. When prosecutors cut deals for defendants who truly cooperate, they usually file special motions asking judges for downward departures, meaning major sentence reductions. But that didn't happen for Fetty Wap. He ended up with 6 years, just 1 year above the mandatory minimum of 5 years for his charge. If he had really given the government inside info, his sentence would have been way lower. That extra year above the minimum shows this was a standard sentence, not a cooperation reward. Once Fetty hit the streets again, the internet went wild. Social media blew up with rumors and hot takes. Commenters everywhere kept asking, did Fetty Wap snitch? The idea that he served just 3 years of a 6-year sentence had people suspicious, but the truth is much simpler. It wasn't about snitching at all, it was about federal math. The Good Conduct Time System and the First Step Act allow inmates to earn credits that shorten their sentences. These credits aren't secret favors. They're built into federal law and applied to everyone who qualifies. When inmates stay out of trouble, complete educational courses, or participate in rehab and work programs, they earn time reductions. It's a structured process, not a reward for cooperation, but for positive behavior and effort while incarcerated. Some people online actually came to Fetty's defense. One post said, "Forget the street rumors. No snitching talk here. Fetty Wap should be seen as a role model."
Dollar Drug Distribution used Suffolk County as their home base. We're told the defendants would get drugs on the West Coast and use the U.S. Postal Service and drivers with hidden compartments to transport the drugs across the country to Suffolk County where they were stored. Fetty Wap's role, according to officials, a kilogram-level redistributor for the trafficking organization.
That message reflected real respect for how he handled his time. No interviews, no drama, no accusations thrown at others, just quiet moves and discipline. Over on Reddit, the discussions got deep. Users debated the real difference between snitching and self-preservation. One popular comment said, "Snitching is saving your own skin, but pleading guilty isn't that." They argued that taking a plea to reduce risk and uncertainty is just strategic, not betrayal. And when you look at the actual records, the facts speak loud and clear. There's no evidence that Fetty Wap cooperated with prosecutors. Court documents show no cooperation agreements, no substantial assistance motions, and no signs that his co-defendants' cases were affected by his words. Everything points to a straightforward guilty plea, followed by a standard sentence. Rumors might spread fast, but paranoia isn't proof. The official paperwork shows that Fetty pled guilty, served his time, and earned early release the regular way, through good conduct credits and participation in federal programs. It's not unusual. This happens all the time for inmates who follow the system and stay focused. Still, many online debates kept circling back to one argument. For that much weight, 6 years seems light, so he must have talked. But that line of thinking misses how federal sentencing actually works. The system is built on guidelines that factor in several things: criminal history, the defendant's specific role, their acceptance of responsibility, and the proven quantity of drugs tied directly to them. In Fetty's case, while the overall conspiracy was accused of moving around 100 kilograms, his personal charge involved just 500 grams of cocaine. That's a huge difference. The judge focused on what Fetty himself was responsible for, not the entire network's activity. Plus, his limited criminal history and guilty plea both helped reduce his sentence slightly within the standard range. So when you look closer, the numbers make total sense. The 5-year mandatory minimum applied, and the judge added just 1 more year, a normal outcome based on his individual conduct and the guideline math. Judges often go slightly above the minimum to reflect personal responsibility without overdoing the punishment. If Fetty had truly cooperated, his sentence would have been much lower. We're talking 2 or 3 years, maybe even time served in some cases. That didn't happen here. His 6-year term proves there was no special treatment, no deal, and no discount for giving up information. Prosecutors never filed any cooperation motions for Fetty Wap, none at all. His 6-year sentence lined up perfectly with standard federal calculations. Not a special deal or secret exchange. His co-defendants' cases went forward without a single sign that Fetty ever testified because there was no testimony. He came home without the snitch label officially attached, and that's rare for a case this high profile. Usually in situations like this, the internet lights up instantly with accusations. Somebody always claims somebody else talked. But this time, the lack of credible allegations says a lot. The rumors don't hold water. Fetty's focus right now seems to be all about moving forward. His public statement after release talked about family, community, hard work, and making a positive impact. Those aren't the words of someone panicking about street reputation. Those are the words of a man trying to rebuild his life after facing serious consequences and time behind bars. Beyond the wild death hoaxes and rumor mill drama, a real question hangs in the air. Is Fetty Wap actually facing any danger now that he's free? To answer that, you've got to look at his history in the rap world, the beefs he had back in the day, and where those relationships stand now. So far, there have been no credible reports of threats since he got home on January 7th, 2026. Online searches for death threats against him in 2026 only turn up references to his own threat from 2022, the one that got his bail revoked when he was accused of threatening someone he called a snitch. But that was him making the threat, not receiving one. Still, Fetty's past hasn't been all peace and quiet. Back in 2017, tensions in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, escalated big time. A local rap beef turned violent, involving Raheem Fuzz Thomas, who got tied to a shooting incident that was linked to Fetty's circle. That situation came from old neighborhood rivalries and personal conflicts that ran deep. It was dangerous, real, and messy. But all of that went down years ago. Since then, life has shifted. Fetty spent years behind bars, and a lot of the people who were part of those beefs have either moved on, caught their own charges, or simply let it go. The energy from those street feuds seems to have cooled down completely. Of course, money drama never fully disappears in the music world. Fetty had a royalty dispute with his former collaborator P. Dice, who filed a lawsuit over unpaid earnings. But that's not the kind of thing that usually turns violent. That's handled through lawyers and courts, not in the streets. Then came some family drama, and fast. Within just 24 hours of his release, Ika, Keisha, and Leslie Lauder, the mothers of his children, started calling him out on social media. One of them posted, "All those videos of him coming home. Where's the video of him going to see his kids?" The comments were harsh, raw, and emotional, calling him out publicly for what they see as neglect. But even though the words stung, this was family tension, not physical danger. These women weren't plotting anything violent. They were demanding accountability and attention for their children. That's personal frustration, not street beef. As the buzz around his release kept growing, some social media users took shots at Fetty's past choices instead of his personal life. One post read, "He's the reason the youth is dying," blaming him for contributing to the drug crisis, especially with substances like fentanyl. It was moral criticism. Strong and emotional, yes, but again, not a threat. People were expressing anger over the impact of past actions, not announcing harm. And if there were real threats, they'd be hard to hide. In this digital era, everything gets aired out online first. Rivals, haters, or so-called ops usually make it known when tensions rise. They post warnings, cryptic comments, or diss messages before things ever reach the streets. But digging through X, Instagram, and Reddit, you won't find any signs of danger aimed at Fetty Wap. What you'll see are celebration posts, family arguments, and a bit of moral backlash, but no real threats. Even the major media outlets confirm it. TMZ's coverage of his release focused purely on the logistics, when he got out, where he's staying, and what's next. There was no mention of security issues or danger. The New York Post ran a similar story covering his early release terms and home confinement conditions, but no hint of safety concerns there either. If Fetty Wap were truly under threat, it'd be front page news. Reporters love a headline about rap feuds and danger, but this time, it's quiet. The most that's happening right now? Online chatter, family friction, and people debating his reputation. The rest, all those dark rumors, are just noise without proof. The welcome home video said it all. Big crowds, cheers, people hugging, smiling, and celebrating in the streets. If Fetty Wap truly thought he was in danger, he wouldn't have shown up like that, surrounded by hundreds of fans in public. The fact that he looked relaxed and comfortable in those open settings makes it clear he doesn't feel any immediate threat. And honestly, his team would never have set up something that visible if they believed there was real danger waiting outside. Many fans online said Fetty's release was a moment of joy, not conflict. One post even mentioned how he got standing ovations when he stepped out, describing the crowd's energy as nothing but love and respect. That reaction came from admiration, not just for his music, but for how he handled himself during his bid. In the streets, how you carry yourself while you're locked up matters. Fetty Wap did his time quietly without stirring drama, making wild claims, or throwing blame around. He didn't fuel beefs or chase attention from behind the wall. That kind of composure earns a level of respect. It doesn't mean he's immune from problems, but it definitely keeps tensions low. People who stay solid, stay calm, and don't cause chaos during tough times usually come home to a more peaceful environment. Now, let's talk about his career. Because when Fetty came home, he wasn't returning to the same spotlight he left behind. His legal troubles happened at a time when his music career had already flatlined. To really understand where he stands now, you've got to look back at how the rise and fall of his career played out. Back in 2015, Fetty Wap was everywhere. His breakout hit Trap Queen completely took over the airwaves. That song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, spawned countless remixes, and introduced the world to his signature melodic trap sound. That style didn't just make waves, it inspired a whole new generation of artists. He followed up with hits like 679 and My Way, dropping bangers one after another. He even got 2 Grammy nominations, and his debut album went platinum. For a while, Fetty was unstoppable. It felt like every car, every party, every radio station was playing his voice. But then, everything slowed down. Critics and fans started saying the same thing. Fetty Wap had huge hits, but he couldn't lock in as a long-term top-tier artist. His moment of dominance burned bright, but quick. And then it faded. By the time the 2021 arrest hit, his music career was already slipping. The industry had moved fast, and Fetty hadn't evolved with it. The sound that once made him famous had become oversaturated, other artists jumped on the melodic trap wave, and suddenly, his sound didn't feel as fresh. The trends shifted, but Fetty didn't shift fast enough. His later projects didn't hit like Trap Queen. The magic just wasn't there. And behind the music, his personal life was taking heavy hits too. In 2021, he dropped the mixtape The Butterfly Effect, a deeply emotional project dedicated to his 4-year-old daughter, who tragically passed away from cardiac arrhythmia earlier that year. That kind of loss can crush a person. No parent walks away from something like that unchanged. Grief can either fuel creativity or drain it completely. Some artists pour pain into their art, while others just lose focus under the weight of it. For Fetty, that heartbreak seemed to slow his momentum even more. And then came the pandemic. COVID-19 shut down live performances, which are a major source of income for artists. While streaming pays pennies, touring brings the real money. For someone like Fetty, who already saw a dip in music sales, losing that touring income must have been a massive blow. During that time, fans online pointed to Fetty Wap's situation as a cautionary tale, a reminder of how fast fame can fade and how quickly financial pressure can build up when the music slows down. If the show stopped, the checks slowed, and the bills kept coming, it's not hard to see how the stress could push someone toward bad decisions. That doesn't excuse what happened. But it does explain how someone who once topped charts might end up caught in federal trouble years later. Fetty went from stadium lights to cell blocks, from chart toppers to headlines about court dates. And now, standing outside those gates in 2026, he's got to face the hardest part yet, rebuilding from the ground up. The music industry is one of the toughest games out there. And for someone like Fetty Wap, being gone for 3 years is like a lifetime. Trends flip overnight, new stars pop up every week, and audiences move on fast. Streaming platforms reward whoever's active right now, pushing out fresh music daily. So when an artist disappears for years, climbing back to the top becomes a brutal uphill battle. Sure, nostalgia gives Fetty a little head start. Trap Queen still hits. It's a song that defined a whole era. People remember 2015, the sound, the vibe, the energy. But nostalgia can only carry someone so far. It reminds people of what once was, not what's coming next. If Fetty Wap wants a real comeback, he can't just remake Trap Queen. That moment is long gone. What he can do is bring back the flavor that made him stand out, his melodic trap sound, but mix it with something fresh and current. The biggest question now is, who's going to work with him? Will established artists take a chance and collaborate? Will producers put time into his projects? Will labels invest in a comeback story? Those are the decisions that'll shape his future. And honestly, his legal history complicates things. Some labels and artists don't want to deal with someone fresh out of federal supervision, not because of the music, but because of the restrictions and stigma that come with it. Travel limits, check-ins, and public image concerns make partnerships a gamble for some people in the business, but others might see it differently. There's a level of respect for someone who faced consequences, stayed quiet, did their time, and walked out ready to rebuild. To some, Fetty's story isn't about scandal. It's about survival and redemption. That narrative could actually help him connect with audiences if he channels it the right way. Still, the truth is harsh. Fans care about the music first. Redemption stories sound nice, but they don't guarantee streams, ticket sales, or chart numbers. Fetty's focus on community work and helping youth is inspiring and shows real growth, but the music world runs on one thing: hits. If the music doesn't connect, people move on, no matter how powerful the backstory is. There's also a moral layer here that some fans can't ignore. Critics online have pointed out the contradiction. It's hard to celebrate someone whose past included selling substances that hurt communities. The operation he was tied to involved serious amounts of illegal drugs, including fentanyl, a substance linked to thousands of tragic overdoses every year. That reality still leaves a bad taste for many. So if Fetty wants real support, he's got to prove himself through his art. The nostalgia might draw people in, and curiosity will give him that first wave of views and streams, but staying power comes from making songs that stick. Tracks people can't stop replaying. Can he deliver that again? Can he turn the pain, lessons, and losses into something powerful that people feel? That's the big question. And let's not forget, his supervised release adds another layer of challenge. He's still under strict federal conditions until 2030, meaning random drug testing, financial reporting, and travel restrictions. Every performance every studio session and every business move has to get cleared by his probation officer. That makes running a full-time music career harder, but not impossible. If Fetty Wap can stay focused, make smart moves, and deliver real music that hits home, there's a chance for a serious comeback story here. But it's all on him now. His talent, his discipline, and his choices. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And click one of the videos on your screen to keep watching. We've got more stories and deep dives waiting for you.